What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bob's Garage. And right now, we're going to start exploring an educational series on how to work on these cars. Mainly because the ultimate goal is to pull the engine and trans and replace a bunch of different stuff. So I know a lot of these videos are going to be very basic, but what these are going to be used as, or what they're going to be designed for, is to help someone that might be just getting into an S4. Someone that might have always been interested in getting one and wants to see what it takes to work on one. You've heard all the rumors, you've seen everyone talk shit about working on them and maintaining them, so this is the nitty gritty. This will show you everything you need to know on how to take one down or take one apart, so stay tuned for more. Alright guys, so basically my turbos are done, and while I'm replacing my turbos, I'm going to be replacing a bunch of other stuff. So what this video series is going to entail is ultimately me showing how to reseal your motor and replace your turbos, upgrade and replace your torque converter if you have a Tiptronic car, as well as a few other things. So it's going to go through a full teardown all the way to what it takes to get the engine and trans out, bit by bit, piece by piece, and I'll break them up into smaller educational videos. For those of you that have already worked on one, you could probably skip all the basics like how to disconnect your drive shaft and axles and all that type of stuff, of course. But for those of you that are new here, this is what I do. I've had this car for about 2 years now. It's a 2002 Audi S4. It's still on the B5 platform. It has a 2.7T bi-turbo engine. And if you watched any of my other videos, I've done a lot of work on this car in the past 2 years. So one other thing, I just mentioned it, but I want to reseal the motor. And because of this, I've been having nothing but leaks, and they just kind of, they're not major leaks, it's just day by day it gets worse and worse and worse. So I have coolant leaking out of the front of the engine. I'm also somewhere losing power steering fluid a little bit at a time. I've never been able to figure that out. And I know my driver's side intercooler is dripping oil because of how much oil my turbos push. So, having said that, we need to get started here. What I'm going to be using for this job, in terms of tools, I'm going to be using racing jack stands, which allow you to lift the car up much higher than small little baby ones, and a badass jack that can lift higher than a normal jack. I do have mostly hand tools here. I don't have any air tools. But that works out well for video purposes because then you can hear me talk. You're not listening to air compressors running and stuff. So this is just a little breakdown of what I got. Mainly this is my Harbor Freight tool set. I don't even remember. I've had it for like 3-4 years, maybe even longer. And it served me well. It's Pittsburgh brand. And I do have a few extra other stuff, things. I have 2 Harbor Freight torque wrenches, the 3/8 inch and the 1/2 inch. I have these special grip pliers. I've never even opened them, so I don't know if I'm going to need those. I have some extra long socket extensions. I have my cam lock tool. And there's still some more tools and stuff that I have laying down there and stuff, but most of that stuff down there I've never really had to use, or I've only used once for specific purposes, like, you know, replacing brake lines and stuff like that. So that's about it. And these are my 2 favorite tools right here. So that is a flashlight and a Sharpie. So for all these projects, what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to break these down into smaller videos. But as I go, you're going to see me talk about putting all the bolts into baggies. So I got a bunch of Ziploc bags up here. And what this is going to be is, as I take stuff off the car, I'm going to have my girlfriend drop all the bolts from each step into a Ziploc bag, number the bag, and then put what it is. So if it's headlight bolts, you might write down number 1, put it in there, put those bolts in the bag. And when all is said and done, you might have 40, 50, 60 bags of different various bolts, but you'll know exactly where everything goes. So it takes a little bit more time to organize that way, but if you're not used to working on these daily or every day or whatever, or if it's your first time tearing a car down, it makes reassembly a lot better. So it slows down disassembly because you got to stop and label everything, but it'll make putting things back together much easier. You won't have any extra parts. So that's it. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. And what I'm going to do is just kind of go slow with it. So first things first, we're going to probably do like a video on how to drop the exhaust, how to disconnect the drive line, and then start working on other stuff like the axles and just go from there. So I did all this for the most part in my stage 2 video series. I know that was helpful for a lot of people. I've been getting a lot of great comments, and I appreciate you guys, dropping a comment and stuff. The car world isn't easy. It's full of trolls and all these types of people. So it's really cool when you guys, take a few minutes and say, thanks for making that video or whatever. So it means a lot to me. If you guys are already subscribed to my channel, if you could hit the button and unsubscribe, and then click it again and resubscribe, then next to the subscription button, there should be a little bell. Once you resubscribe, you can click that bell and you'll get automatic notifications that I've uploaded new videos. So it'd be cool. It would help me out. I'd appreciate it. It doesn't cost you guys anything, and it helps me out. So yeah, let's get to it. If during this series there's any questions you have or specific things that you need to know or want to know, just let me know. I'm going to be working on this car for at least the next couple weeks. So I did put in an order for a street sauce torque converter, and they said it'd be like 2 to 3 weeks or so for them to build it. So I figured I would do all the prep work ahead of time, get the engine and trans out, possibly separated and all that. Forgot to mention, I'm also going to be replacing my transmission filter and most likely flushing all the fluid out, all the trans fluid. So I have 14 quarts of trans fluid. I was going to do that way back when I went stage 2, but I knew eventually or soon I would want to do my torque converter, so I didn't want to flush all the fluid out twice. So it's expensive. That fluid was a lot of money. So I've held on to it, and now we're going to put it to use. Anyone out there, by the time you see this video, if you know of any deals on some cheap KO4 turbos, OEM Borg Warner KO4 turbos, not Chinese shit, let me know. It wasn't within the funds to go KO4s. I really, really, really wanted to. I kept saving all my pennies, but it just wasn't in the works. So I had a previous set of used KO3 turbos that I picked up, minimal shaft play, and I don't know anything about them, so I hope they work. But that's what's going to be going on the car for at least 2017. So stay tuned for more, and thanks for hanging in there, guys. So Happy New Year.